Imagine walking down your local grocery aisle. Nestled between the juice and sparkling water, there sits a glass bottle, its label minimal, perhaps adorned with a single leaf. Its price hovers around $4, but what the company behind it hopes you never realize is astonishing. That very drink can be recreated at home for roughly 12 cents, and your homemade version will be more vibrant, potent, and truer to its original composition than any factory-processed alternative. This beverage is far from a modern fad. It wasn't dreamed up by a nutritionist 5 years ago, nor patented by a trendy startup for a subscription box. Its history stretches back over 2 millennia. In Chinese culture, it was associated with longevity. In Russia, families preserved its living culture, passing it neighbor to neighbor through generations. By the early 20th century, German pharmacists were selling it as a medicinal tonic. Yet today, a processed, heat-treated version drives a projected $426 billion industry, expected to nearly double by 2030. And all the while, your kitchen can produce the original form for almost nothing. If you've struggled with digestive discomfort, erratic blood sugar, low energy, or a vague sense that something inside your body isn't quite right, this story might change how you view your daily beverages. This is the tale of kombucha. By the end, you'll understand its true nature, the scientific findings behind it, and how to brew your own tonight using just 3 ingredients you already have. We'll dive into ancient foods, fermented drinks, and the research explaining why our ancestors relied on them long before modern science caught up. Kombucha's commonly cited origin places it in China during the Qin dynasty around 221 BCE, where it was known as the Tea of Immortality. Historical accounts suggest Emperor Qin Shi Huang, famed for building the Great Wall and unifying China, pursued elixirs of longevity, and fermented teas were part of this quest. To be transparent, while multiple cultural sources repeat this origin story, Wikipedia notes that solid archaeological proof for a Qin dynasty start is limited. What is better documented is kombucha's spread across East Asia into Korea and Japan, and then west along the Silk Road to Russia and Eastern Europe. By the 16th century, Russian household manuals such as the Destroy referenced what locals called chany grib, or tea mushroom. This living culture was grown at home and shared between families, never purchased. In 1913, Russian biologist A. Abakinskaya published the first scientific study of the SCOBY, calling it tikvas and mapping its microbial composition. By the 1920s, physicians in Germany were prescribing it, and pharmacies in the Westphalia industrial region sold it under commercial names. World War II brought sugar rationing across Europe, causing most home brewing to vanish, since sugar is essential for fermentation. After the war, the culture returned, still shared hand-to-hand, still free, and immune to patents, a detail the multi-billion-dollar industry would rather you overlook. At the heart of every kombucha bottle is the SCOBY, a symbiotic colony of bacteria and yeast. It resembles a pale, rubbery disc floating atop the tea. Its internal workings are remarkably sophisticated. Picture your gut as a thriving garden. A healthy garden hosts dozens of species, each contributing in a unique way. Some protect the soil, others fix nutrients, while some naturally suppress weeds. The garden flourishes because of this diversity. The SCOBY functions similarly. Yeast consumes sugar in sweet tea, producing alcohol and carbon dioxide, the latter creating natural carbonation. Bacteria then convert alcohol into organic acids, acetic acid, lactic acid, and glucuronic acid. These acids are the source of kombucha's biological activity. Acetic acid, found also in apple cider vinegar, is linked to blood sugar regulation and antimicrobial effects. Lactic acid nourishes beneficial gut bacteria, such as Bifidobacterium and Prevotella, which studies associate with improved metabolic health and reduced inflammation. Glucuronic acid supports liver detoxification by binding toxins for elimination, contributing to what researchers call Phase 2 liver detox pathways. In 2023, researchers at Georgetown University employed RNA gene sequencing to analyze kombucha's primary microbes, discovering roughly equal proportions of lactic acid bacteria, acetic acid bacteria, and a yeast known as Decara. This is the thriving ecosystem present in every properly fermented batch. When kombucha is commercially pasteurized, the liquid is heated to eliminate bacteria and extend its shelf life. What remains is the flavor and acids, but the live microorganisms vanish. It's the difference between a flourishing garden and a static photograph of that garden. One of the most critical studies in recent years sheds light on this drink's potential. In August 2023, a collaboration among researchers at Georgetown University Medical Center, the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, and MedStar Health released the first randomized, double-blinded crossover clinical trial examining kombucha's effects on adults with type 2 diabetes. Published in Frontiers in Nutrition and accessible on PubMed, the study involved 12 participants who consumed 8 ounces of kombucha with dinner daily for 4 weeks. After an 8-week washout period, participants switched to a placebo drink for another 4 weeks. The outcome was striking. The average fasting blood glucose in the kombucha group fell from 164 to 116 milligrams per deciliter. For context, the American Diabetes Association recommends fasting blood sugar between 70 and 130 milligrams per deciliter. These participants began at 164, a level classified by the ADA as poorly controlled. After just 4 weeks of one daily glass, their readings dropped to 116, now within the advised range. The placebo group, in contrast, showed no statistically meaningful change. Lead author Dr. Chige Mendelsohn, completing his residency at MedStar Health, described the findings as preliminary evidence that a common beverage could impact diabetes. Co-author Dr. Dan Merenstein, a professor at Georgetown School of Health, emphasized that while additional research is needed, the results are highly promising. It is important to note that this was a pilot trial involving only 12 subjects. It does not constitute a cure. What it does provide is the first human clinical evidence suggesting that this ancient drink may help regulate blood sugar and offers a foundation for more extensive investigations. In 2024, a study published in Scientific Reports analyzed kombucha's impact on the gut microbiome in healthy volunteers. Results indicated an increase in 36 beneficial microbial species and a decrease in 14 less favorable taxa relative to control participants. In particular, bacteria producing short-chain fatty acids, including Bifidobacterium, Prevotella, and Subacterium, grew more abundant. Meanwhile, a Brazilian clinical trial published in 2024 in the Journal of Nutrition found that 8 weeks of kombucha consumption reduced the prevalence of ruminous and diarrhea in participants with obesity, 2 genera consistently linked in multiple systematic reviews to obesity and metabolic disorders, while boosting Akkermansia and other beneficial taxa. These are genuine peer-reviewed findings, not marketing claims or folklore dressed as science. The global kombucha market reached an estimated $426 billion in 2024 and is projected to hit $909 billion by 2030, expanding at a compound annual growth rate of 13.5%. This expansion relies heavily on one specific industrial process: pasteurization. Commercial kombucha is heated to a level that kills the living bacteria, making it shelf-stable. It can survive warehouses, shipping, and remain on refrigerated shelves for weeks. However, the living cultures, the very reason humans have consumed it for centuries, are destroyed during this process. Some companies even inhibit yeast activity to prevent ongoing fermentation in sealed bottles, further limiting microbial diversity. What you often purchase is a beverage that mimics kombucha's flavor and contains its organic acids, but no longer harbors the live ecosystem that distinguishes homemade versions. Homemade kombucha, by contrast, never undergoes pasteurization. It travels from your jar to your glass fully alive. Each batch develops a new layer of SCOBY, and the culture you begin with today can remain biologically active a year from now, provided it is regularly nourished with tea and sugar. The science behind this has been publicly available for decades. The industry relies on the assumption that most people never realize they could create the same beverage at home for roughly $1 per gallon. Here's how to begin tonight. No specialized equipment is required beyond a glass jar. Step 1. Cultivate your SCOBY. You do not need to purchase one. A single bottle of raw, unpasteurized kombucha from the store, priced around $4, contains enough living culture to propagate your own. Pour the entire bottle into a wide-mouthed glass jar or add 2 cups of cooled sweet black tea. To prepare, steep 2 tea bags in 2 cups of hot water with 2 tablespoons of sugar, then allow it to reach room temperature before combining. Cover the jar with a breathable cloth secured with a rubber band. Avoid plastic wrap as it blocks airflow. Place the jar in a spot between 70 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit, away from direct sunlight. Do not stir or move it. Within 1 to 4 weeks, a thin, rubbery disc will form on the surface. That is your SCOBY, capable of brewing 1 gallon of kombucha weekly, indefinitely. Step 2. The first fermentation. Boil 4 cups of water and steep 4 black tea bags for 15 minutes. Stir in 3 to 4 cups of plain white sugar until completely dissolved. Pour this into a 1-gallon glass jar, then add 8 cups of cooled filtered water. Ensure the mixture drops below 85 degrees Fahrenheit. Excessively hot liquid can kill the culture. Introduce your SCOBY along with 2 cups of starter liquid from a previous batch, or the store-bought bottle you used initially. Cover with a breathable cloth to allow airflow and begin the fermentation process. Secure the cloth with a rubber band and place the jar somewhere warm and undisturbed. Do not touch or move it for 5 days. On the 5th day, sample the liquid with a clean straw. If it still tastes very sweet, leave it for an additional day or 2. Once it turns tart and tangy with just a hint of residual sweetness, it is ready. Most batches take 7 to 12 days to reach this stage, depending on room temperature. Next comes the second fermentation, where natural carbonation develops. Begin by removing the SCOBY and reserving 2 cups of liquid for the next batch. Pour the remaining tea into flip-top glass bottles, leaving roughly 1 inch of headspace. Add flavors such as a tablespoon of fruit juice, fresh ginger slices, crushed blueberries, or a pinch of turmeric. Seal the bottles tightly and leave them at room temperature for 2 to 4 days. As the yeast consumes the sugars from the added fruit, carbon dioxide builds inside the sealed bottles and dissolves into the liquid. When opened, the drink fizzes naturally. No machines, no factory processing, just biology performing exactly as it has for over 2,000 years. The cost is astonishingly low. 4 tea bags around 40 plus 34 cup sugar, and about 30 for fruit flavoring, totaling roughly $1 per gallon. Each gallon yields 8 6-ounce servings, making the cost per bottle about 12 cents. A store-bought equivalent sells for $3 to $5. Drinking one daily would cost over $1,300 annually. Homemade, the expense remains under $45 per year. Here's what the next 3 months look like. Week 1, the SCOBY forms on your counter in a jar. A thin film emerges on the liquid's surface and you witness life coming into existence. By week 2, this film thickens into a proper disc as you begin the first fermentation of your first gallon. Week 3, you taste it. You bottle it with fresh ginger and lemon, and 2 days later, you open it to hear the fizz and experience a tart, vibrant drink unlike the flat, processed version previously purchased. By the end of month 1, your routine is established. Every 7 to 10 days, you bottle a batch and start a new one. The SCOBY grows a second layer, which can be shared with someone else. Month 2 invites experimentation. Blueberry with ginger, pineapple with turmeric, mango with lime. Each batch costs $1 and produces 8 bottles. By month 3, you stop buying commercial kombucha altogether, keeping $60 to $80 in your pocket. By month 6, your kitchen counter houses a self-sustaining jar, and your refrigerator is stocked with homemade flavors. You've created a daily practice trusted for centuries by Russian families, German pharmacists, and Chinese physicians long before the functional beverage industry emerged. People reporting stable digestion, consistent energy, and a robust immune system share one commonality. They provide their gut microbiome with diverse inputs daily. Not a 30-day cleanse, not a single-strain supplement, but a continuous supply of living, varied bacteria from genuine fermented food. Your gut hosts approximately 38 trillion microbial cells, more than all human cells combined. These microbes regulate immune responses, influence mood through the gut-brain axis, control inflammation throughout the body, and directly affect blood sugar management. When microbial diversity declines due to processed foods, repeated antibiotics, or insufficient replenishment, the impact is subtle at first. Digestion becomes erratic, energy fluctuates, sleep cycles shift, and inflammation gradually rises. Many experience these effects for years before tracing them back to gut health. 1 glass of kombucha a day is not a cure for any condition. It is essential to clarify this. It is food, the oldest kind of functional food, not a pharmaceutical. Yet it has nourished human microbiomes long before recorded medicine existed, and clinical research published in peer-reviewed journals in 2023 and 2024 demonstrates measurable biological effects in real people. The version of yourself waking up with steadier energy, improved digestion, and a gut functioning as intended is built through small, consistent daily choices. Brewing a gallon of kombucha on your counter for $1 is one such choice. Ancestors called it the tea of immortality, and modern science is finally beginning to understand why. Tonight, you can start. Boil water, steep 4 black tea bags, stir in sugar, cool the liquid, pour it into a glass jar, add a bottle of raw kombucha from the store, cover it with a breathable cloth, and walk away. Within 1 to 4 weeks, a living culture forms atop the liquid, capable of brewing a gallon of probiotic tea weekly for as long as it is maintained. Initial cost is $4 and roughly $1 per batch thereafter. The multi-billion-dollar industry surrounding this drink is not afraid of the science. They have known it for decades. They rely on the assumption that most people will continue purchasing commercial bottles, never realizing it can be made at home. If this information is useful and actionable for you, type yes in the comments. If someone in your life struggles with gut issues, blood sugar irregularities, or unexplained low energy, share this with them. It might be the most practical advice they receive this week.